Hello, and thanks for joining us to learn about FDA Medical Device Databases. My name is Ben Berman, and I'm a medical device regulatory specialist in the NIH Small Business Education and Entrepreneurial Development Office. Today we'll be taking a look at how to use medical device data made available by FDA in order to identify a potential predicate for use in a 510K application. Finding a predicate device is a foundational step of the 510K process. But before we get into the database, let's have a quick review on what a potential predicate is and why it's so important for your pre-market authorization. When you submit a 510K application, the FDA will be evaluating whether or not your device is substantially equivalent to a predicate device. So what do these terms mean? A predicate is an existing device to which you will be comparing your new device. It needs to be legally marketed, meaning in most cases it already has a 510K clearance. When your device is cleared for market, it will inherit the same categorization, meaning the same regulation and device classification as the predicate device. The first criteria for substantial equivalence is that the two devices have the same intended use, meaning they essentially do the same thing. There's still flexibility in that they may have a different context for use or indications for use, but the underlying principle of how they're intended to be used must be the same. The second criteria for substantial equivalence is that wherever your device and a predicate do have technical differences, that these do not raise new fundamental issues. Where there are differences, you need to provide justifications or data to FDA showing that your device is still just as safe and effective as the predicate. Again, your device and the predicate are not expected to be identical. For more information about predicate devices and substantial equivalence, check out FDA's website. As an example device for this overview, let's consider an ultrasound image processing software tool. In fact, this example is shared with a complete medical device regulatory case study that is available on NIH SEED's website. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the database to learn a little bit more about image processing software for ultrasound and see if we can find a reasonable predicate device. This is the Medical Device Database landing page. Let's scroll to find pre-market notifications. Here, we can start to gather information on products that are already on the market and may be similar to ours. We have a wide range of search tools at our disposal, so let's walk through those briefly. 510K number to pull up a specific 510K. Type includes traditional, special, or abbreviated. Center to specify between devices and biologics. Product code for known device categories. Applicant and device names to search for manufacturers and products by name. Panel allows us to specify the clinical application area. Decision adds granularity to the type of substantial equivalence that was determined. Decision date allows searching between date ranges. And we have a few extra options here on the side for combination products, IVDs, FOIA redacted application packages, and devices that underwent third-party review. Lastly, there's an option for whether or not the 510K included a clinical trial. So let's go ahead and enter in a few things that we know about our ultrasound image processing software. We know that this is going to be in the radiology space. And let's start with a device name like imaging software. Let's see where that leads us. Here in our search results, I noticed that one of these products is an imaging software suite for CT images. So let me click on that to learn just a little bit more. Each cleared 510K has a page like this that includes some regulatory information on the device. I'd like to learn a little bit more about the regulation number and the product codes. This one actually has two product codes associated with it. So let's go ahead and click through on those. First, the regulation number. This tells me that the device is associated with computed tomography X-ray systems, which is nice to know, but we are looking for ultrasound related devices. So let's go back. Before I find another device, let's learn what regulations these product codes are associated with. First, we have JAK, which we can see here is connected to the previous regulation on computed tomography X-ray systems. Okay, how about the second one, LLZ? Here we found our way to a product code that's associated with image processing and radiological systems. This sounds more similar to our ultrasound tool. So let's learn a little bit more by clicking on this regulation number. And here I can see that this regulation corresponds to medical image management and processing systems. Within the regulation, we can learn a little bit more about the device definition and its intended use, as well as its classifications. So here we can see that indeed this is a Class 2 device, and it's going to require a 510K. Now that I know the regulation number as well as the product code associated with these image processing software systems, let's go back to our search page and see if we can find a better potential predicate. Back again at the search page, let's go ahead and enter in the product code that we found, LLZ. And also go ahead and enter in a relevant keyword into our device name field, this time echo. Now I see some promising devices, perhaps some that I'm already familiar with. Let's go ahead and click on one of these to learn a little bit more. I can see that this 510K is from 2020 here in the date received field, as well as the 510K number. I can see that this is an LLZ image processing tool, just what I'm looking for, and based on the name and applicant, I can tell that this is geared toward ultrasound systems. But to really solidify that, let's learn more about this product from its 510K summary. Each entry in the database has a 510K summary. We can learn a lot more details about this potential predicate here. The document starts with a decision letter from FDA. We can go ahead and scroll past that for now. Below that, we'll find indications for use statements, which helps us better understand the context for use of this specific device. It's okay to borrow language for our own IFU statement from this one. Finally, we get to the 510K summary. There are 3 specific sections that I want to highlight as especially helpful in identifying a predicate. The first is the device description. Here we could learn what the product is and some of its key functions. In this 510K summary, they've included a brief device description. The second section to find is a comparison to predicates, or the determination of substantial equivalence. This is often formatted as a table where each row includes specific similarities and differences. But this particular 510K summary has a more concise format. Lastly, I want to take a look at an overview of clinical and non-clinical testing that the device underwent as part of its 510K application. In this case, they've included a summary of non-clinical tests. Some of those are from specific standards as listed. And here we can see that there was no clinical testing necessary. All of this information helps me form my own plan for getting my product to market, and it helps me understand the types of similarities and differences that I'm going to need to discuss when I select a predicate and move forward with my 510K. This is just one example of how to find a potential predicate in the 510K database. Before I move forward with my own 510K or a pre-submission meeting with CDRH, I would probably review dozens, if not hundreds, of potential predicates by opening up their 510K summaries and comparing their functionality and their context of use to my own devices. We hope after this brief walkthrough that you can search the database and find comparable predicates to the product that you are innovating. Of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.